The 500 Section Lounge is a founding member of the OddPods Media Network. Hi, I'm Sam.
I'm Richie.
And I'm Little Matt.
And here at the 500 Section Lounge, we have a few requirements.
First, you've got to be able to talk about anything at all.
Secondly, you need to be able to laugh, play games, and talk to some very interesting people.
From sports radio personalities to reality television contest finalists and everything in between, we talk to them all.
Yeah, it's all right here in the lounge.
So be on the lookout for what we do next.
And always be there to
grab a listen. Hey, and thank you so much for joining us on the 500 Section Lounge on YouTube. This week, we are going to start with our week 2 episode of our Sports Febstival, which is our celebration of sports all the way through the month of February, and every guest is a sports-related guest. We had so much fun this week with our guest. It was Brett Ratcliffe. He is a 17-year veteran coach at USA Baseball, and what fantastic stories he had, and that's what we've got for you. We've got some selected clips that we really thought you would enjoy listening to. It's just a great time that we had with him, talking about some players that he had interacted with during his time at USA Baseball, and you know what? We think you're going to enjoy it. So not only grab a listen, but grab a view.
We have a friend of the lounge, Nate Mondu. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot now. Sam's probably got another Mondu question. We really love that guy.
Good dude.
He's been a great guest to talk to, and I heard you comment on the sweet extra stuff he sent the lounge over there, the hat. So what about Nate Mondu? What made him special? And then where would you rank him as one of the top players you've evaluated and worked with in USA Baseball?
Real quick, I'll piggyback just a little bit on that to kind of further that. You have a special relationship with him because you were even in California when he played in the All-Star game.
Correct.
And you went and made a special trip to watch him in the All-Star trip or game.
That is correct. Yeah.
So with Richie, what made him that special player that you wanted to keep tabs with?
Well, he was on the 09 team. That's when I finally got to go down and be on a national staff with the 14U national team. So that year they fly me to Carey for a weekend. We're about 4 or 5 days. We evaluate these kids. We got to make it down to 24. October, we go into Miami. He was one of them from the Northwest. So he's flying in from Washington down to Carey, North Carolina. And, you know, the way he just acted on the field and carried himself as a young man at 14 was something like, wow, he's got a little something there. Everything was yes, sir. I mean, it's still today. He still calls me coach. He still calls me, he answers a question, yes, sir, no, sir. I mean, it's just the way he was brought up. So on that 09 team, we go to Ecuador, and we went to there with not, at that point in time, 14Us had never lost a game yet. So, and that was a 3-year running. So that was a big deal that here it is, you can't lose at that point. And
right.
So we go into Ecuador, and, we got Puerto Rico there and Venezuela there. And it's like, okay, there's some tough teams coming in. Nate was always that kid that kept everybody loose. He had some fun. He was a hardworking kid. He was a third baseman. He would play the outfield. He basically said, Coach, I'll play wherever you need me. And that attitude at 14 just stuck with me and really kind of, I was a little not too young in the coaching career at that time, but that was a philosophy that I had for myself as a player. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it kind of reminded me of me. He wasn't the best athletic, baseball ability, but everything else he brought to the game, the knowledge of it was just unbelievable. So it's always been one of those that even after the 09, he goes up to the next one. I'm out in Arizona, and, he and his parents both drove over to a different facility I was at just to say hi and talk for 5 minutes, and says, hey, I know you got to get back to your job, but hey, we just want to come over and say hi. And then they did it again, when he was 16. So we just had always stayed in touch with that one. There's been a couple of them that I've stayed in touch that way with him. But he is the one, then talk about college. He goes off to Wake Forest. So he comes up to Notre Dame, and I get to go see him play. that was pretty neat there. And then the next time he comes to Notre Dame, his junior year, I take my son up. And so, it was kind of neat that we got to see him twice in college. And then once he got in with Burlington, he comes down here to Fort Wayne to play Tin Caps.
Yep. Which is where I met him then, because we coached in the school we were at. We had a doubleheader. He was in town, and he came up for the first half of the doubleheader. And I was kind of the one that walked him around to different places that he needed to be when he wasn't with you.
Right.
And he was the same way with me, the yes, sir, and I'm like, dude, I'm an assistant coach. You just literally met me. But that just shows the type of baseball player he was and that type of person he is.
Well, and I knew with you, Sam, that, if you're a host, and here it was, man. I knew the kid would be taken care of. I had to make sure he was taken care of. We actually went up Friday night, got there about halfway through the game after our practice and stuff. And then we picked him up and brought him back to our house, and, a local hole in the wall place. He got a burger and food that, normally he gets, pizza and things like that on the road, just kind of, he didn't have to pay for it. So that was pretty neat there too. But yeah, he spent the night, had a nice bed to sleep in, and got up and spoke to our kids. And and it was just like, Coach, I've never done this before. And I'm thinking, wait a second, Nate, you've been at Wake Forest. You played in the Northwoods. That was another place. I actually drove my camper up to see him play in the Northwoods League when he came up to Battle Creek and played. So that was another time we got to see him in college play. But yeah, I was like, Nate, you've done this before. Come on, man. No, Coach, I'm kind of really nervous. I want to talk to these high school kids. What do you want me to talk about? I go, talk to me about Nate.
Yeah.
And sure enough, just like he talked to you guys on, a couple of times about him being a multi-sport athlete, having fun, listen to coaches. just those were things that I didn't have to prompt with him. And he was just that way.
Yeah. Talked about the selection of teams, and I don't know if it was 2010 team, maybe. You've told me this story. So you had some really hard selections and decisions to make on who you kept and who you cut for those USA teams.
Was this the 14U team or the 18U team?
The 18U team.
18 was actually in 08.
Okay, 08.
That was in 08.
Okay, sorry. Yes.
That was our trip out in Arizona at Oakland Stadium. And yes, when I told you that we had some hard decisions to make and we needed a couple more games to play, and there's two young men that we really needed to see and see a little bit more. And this kid, and of course, we're out there that summer. We're there. It's 123 degrees out there. So we are up in the morning and we are working out at 8 o'clock till about 11. We eat there at the facility because they had their kitchen running for us. Basically, we went out and bought a big screen TV for the guys in the locker room, clubhouse. And we were in the big league clubhouse. That was a neat part for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we got one kid specifically that he was out every single day at 11:30 till 12:30, and he was taking extra cuts, and two or three of us would rotate out there and work with them and things like that. So we get down to the final wire, and man, that night before, it was probably a 2 or 3 a.m. night. And the next day we've got a game. We're trying to solidify it. We're going to tell all the kids, and then everybody else is going to be packing up and leaving, or they're going to be staying there for another week, a couple days there, and then they take off from there. The one kid that did that was Mike Trout. So at the age of 17, Mike Trout was not selected. We do not use cut in the terminology of USA Baseball. At this point in time, he just was not selected. Because if we had 20 that year, then we would have taken him without a doubt. He was there. He was our 19th kid. So we take another one, Nolan Fontana, that was playing second. Mike was a little bit trying to be an infielder, outfielder. So it was kind of, he was right there. Was not as big as he was, but that kid, the neat part about him was when we called him in and did not, and told him he was not selected, he walked around every single table. And one of our guys out of Minnesota, Lunch McKenzie out of St. Paul, he actually told the kid, he says, "Hey, Mike, I'm going to tell you what, one day you're going to make millions, but we have to have you right now. Tomorrow we're leaving. We've got to have you." And so he ends up shaking every one of our hands. He was the only one that we did not select that walked all the way around the table and shook every one of our hands. And he got to lunch. He was the last one. Whether he planned it or not, I don't know, but he did. It was the last one. And goes, sir, I hope one day I can do what you tell me I can do. And I'm going to go home and work on this. And that was going into his senior year. And look what he did.
Yeah. He arguably, and to me, the best player in major leagues right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, he's making millions.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to me, and you've told me that story before. I believe that you were in a meeting that turned him into that person.
I think it was a bunch of us, but I was
right. But you were there.
I was involved in that. Yeah, I was. It was something you look back on today thinking, at then we're thinking, did we make the right choice? I mean, we're still flying home and we're texting each other. Did we make the right choice? Did we make the right choice? And they got the silver, and it was like, well, guess we didn't make the right choice.
But here's the thing. Also, you as coaches and evaluators, you're trying to make the best overall team. You're not, and Mike was trying out for a position that he wasn't really maybe made out to be.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at a utility player, and actually the kid we took, who was a catcher, played third, played second, played the outfield. He threw 92 off the bump. He was going to Cal State Fullerton to be a catcher. That was our third catcher. That was one that really, and he just, hit base hits. Yeah. And sure enough, in the middle of the series there, when they need to mop up some innings because your top four guys start at the beginning, and then there's one or two games in the middle that you got to piece it together, and then the back four, you rotate it back around. And so sure enough, he mopped up a couple innings and got a win that was big for them in the middle of the week. So, and he still, he got up to, he was playing in AA ball last I just checked. So that was before the COVID stuff.
Mike Trout didn't make the team. I laugh at that every time, not because I thought, well, you really screwed it up there, Brett, but it's one of those as coaches, and Richie, this along the same lines, is people develop at that different time and different points. And there's also those things that motivate them. Not that they were mad at you, but that conversation with Mike Trout motivated him to where he's at.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it did. I mean, that week of him and getting to work out and stuff like that, I really believe that it did. So, and I use that story a lot. I say it, when I was coaching the high school and my youth camps and stuff like that. I use that story as a motivation that, hey, you can always work to get better, even if you're not that good right now as a young kid, and just knowing that, guys are working hard. So,
well, comparatively, Michael Jordan was cut as a sophomore.
Absolutely.
So comparatively, this is kind of a similar situation. The best in the game. Yeah. He was let go or not invited to go along.
No, right. Not selected.
Not selected. Thank you.
It's selected.
Selected. He was not selected. Yeah. But yet he didn't. I honestly think though, the day that Mike Trout goes into the Hall of Fame, he's not going to bring along you guys to talk down to you though.
I think Lunch McKenzie would be one of those guys that could be at the Hall of Fame with him. I really do. Yeah. They've still established a relationship even after that, and that's probably pretty neat. You talk about their relationship with Nate and I. We all have our relationships. Mm-hmm. We all have a player over the time that we just somehow connected with them, and that's probably the really neat part of it. So, yeah, Sam, so now, we'll go to the next one because there was two of them. Okay. And I know he's laughing about it. There was two of them that year.
I've heard these. So these are great.
We're looking for 4 starting pitchers, and then you're looking at about 6 relievers. 2 of them got to be utility players that can play a field. It's all in the numbers, the magical number stuff and of who you can take and stuff when you're taking 18. So that, of course, that last pitcher, that last day we needed to see, and we moved over to the Rangers facility, and it was Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer was not selected also on that same team. And he was our fifth. Again, if we're taking 20, he is our 5th starting pitcher, and Mike is our next fielder we take. I mean, it was just a no doubt on it.
They're 19 and 20 if you have 20 on that team.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, did he get up and shake everybody's hand too?
No. No. Let's just say that night when of course, we're down in the lobby. We're just hanging out. We talk to the players and, some of the kids. It is tough not selecting a kid because you spend some time with him. You've seen him over. And then at that time with the 18Us, you were sending a whole 7 days, 8 days with them in Carey, North Carolina, or Joplin, Missouri, in the early years. So you really kind of get to know those kids. And then all of a sudden you take, at that point in the trials, it's 40 kids. So now you're watching 40 kids to select. And you start to get a little relationship with them. And then I was a coach of one of the teams. So they take us evaluators and they split us up on the teams to help coach those different positions and bases and things. So you get to know them a little bit. And that's always the hard part. But that night in the hotel lobby, my buddy Lunch and I, because he was on the national staff itself, he was like, hey, Rat, we need to take a walk. I don't think I can stay in this room because and granted, I have nothing bad to say about Trevor, but it was just not a good situation with all those kids at that point in time, because Lunch had been in there since around 96, 97 with USA, and granted, this is 08, so he's kind of a veteran, bringing this rookie guy in and showing him some ropes and things, and he just said there's sometimes you just have to walk away and you just can't face those kids anymore, and this is our time, so let's go, because he was just like teaching me, like I said, those ropes of when you stay around and when you got to walk. So that was pretty neat.
Would Bryce Harper still recognize you?
I don't know if Bryce Harper would, because it's been a while ago. The story itself, maybe.
Yeah.
But not sure, because he's had so many different people in USA around him and things like that, and so but that the time with Bryce was a pretty unique situation, and he's definitely the kid that you want him on your team, but you hate to play against him, and the perspective out there that he's a jerk, I beg a difference. He is a jerk if he's a team you're playing against, or you're
I kind of see that as a Javi Baez type thing. If Javi Baez is not on your team, you cannot stand him because he's just over the top, 100% over the top, and he's just annoying.
Yeah.
But Daniel Murphy was another one. When he played for the Mets, I absolutely hated him. But when he played for the Cubs, I was like, I really like Daniel Murphy. I kind of see maybe Bryce Harper, you're kind of describing that.
Yeah, definitely. Bryce, he was a kid that had so much manners, brought up from a blue collar family, and had to carry his own bags. I mean, all the stuff on Twitter about parents carrying their bags and stuff for the kids at young ages. Bryce's dad would refuse his mother to carry the bag for the boys. And Bryce was a catcher back in the day, and he's got 2 bags. And he actually, I didn't know that story at the time. And then all of a sudden, some kids want his autograph. And I said, hey, Bryce hollers at me. And because when he was 16, another USA story is that, here it is. He was in that verge of whether he's going to graduate high school, go to JUCO. I'm there at that event with him, and I'm the head of the task force, the evaluators. So it was kind of my job to keep the press and the people away from him. Not a bad gig.
Right.
Not a bad gig.
Right.
I get to sit and talk with his mom and dad and, see how they're doing and see what Bryce needs, whatever else. And so anyways, these 2 little kids are probably about 9, 10 years old, want his autograph at the dugout. And he's the last one out because, again, he's got 2 bags and he's filled from head to toe with dirt because he's just that kid. And he hollers up at me, hey, Coach. I said, yeah, Bryce, what do you need? He goes, hey, thank you. And I said, well, thank you for what? I haven't done anything. You need me to carry a bag or something? I mean, he goes, oh, no, sir. These are my bags, and I have to carry my own bags. Now, so I knew going into this, because I was prepped with it, that he was going to be signing autographs. And his parents go out. Of course, they fly in from Vegas down to Carey, North Carolina. And they go out and get some nice little, those $9.99 Walmart comfy chairs to sit, because if you're sitting at the ballpark all day and, stuff, those metal bleachers can kind of get to you,
tear your back up.
Kind of like this Cubs chair right now, but I'll go to another story on that one. But hey,
we'll hug it out later.
Okay.
So it turns out that his parents made him sit on a metal chair until the last kid or person wanted his autograph after their team meeting. It was team first, then it was Bryce's situation. And that was really neat to see that happen. And that's what I told those kids was, hey, Bryce will be up in the concourse area after his team meeting. Team's very important to him. And so he's going to be there first. Because, Bryce was 16 trying to make it for the 18U team that year, which was, and of course, the fastest glove to glove I've ever had. And, I had him at a 174, and he literally was a 172 to 178. There's 12 of us that when this happened, we all raised our stopwatches like, are you kidding me? This really happened. Now, he also threw it from his knees too. So that's pretty big.
And
Now
and he was a catcher.
Yes.
And now he's not. Like
he made a catcher.
He made that move to prolong his career.
He did. Yes, he did. And we knew then at that point though, he was going to be the number 2 catcher that year with USA because we were going to move him to the outfield, knowing because of his speed of 6'6", 6'7", he could run it.
Did he suggest that,
No,
or was it one of those that he was willing to do what it was for the team that needed to be done?
He was willing to do it, and the coach of the 18U had also been his coach the year before on the 16U team.
Okay.
And when he needed his bat in the lineup, he said, "Bryce, I need you in the outfield. Can you do it?" He goes, "I'll do it. Whatever you need me to do, coach." So they had a little relationship there, and so he knew that he could play the outfield. But he also got on the bump. This is about the 6th, 7th inning that he does this. He also gets on the bump in the 9th and throws it 93, 94. So, not a bad gig.
Yeah, and it just kills
Not a
me
bad
that
skill set.
Yeah.
it kills me that he gets that bad rap because
he does.
because he's very outspoken.
Yes,
he's
very
outspoken.
much. Yes.
But that's okay. I mean, I'm sure he's one of the first ones there and the last ones to leave too.
He actually came back to watch games, and he would dress in apparel that he never stuck out. And his buddies were wearing like just a shirt or whatever else, and he matched them. No bling bling stuff, nothing stood out, colored shoes, nothing like that. It was, just I'm going to fit in with everybody else.
Brett, you've been coaching a long time. What's the best baseball trick play that you've seen?
Oh,
well,
good question.
We didn't run it.
Thank you, Sam.
But we didn't run it, but it was against us. And it's the 2-man umpiring crew. And it's a guy on second and third, ground ball out to right field, center field. And the guy at second base runs the cut. He doesn't even touch the dirt within 10 feet, runs the cut of the grass, and ends up scoring right behind the guy at third. And they end up winning the game on that run.
Of course they
because that was it. And that was like, are you kidding
Were
me?
you losing
That
your
just
mind?
happened. And I did. It was unbelievable. I was at
Two-man
Homestead.
crew.
2-man crew. I was at Homestead at the time. And I was like, he didn't touch. He didn't even come close. And they're like, well, we didn't see that. We saw he touched it. And it's a legendary coach too out there in our area now today, still coaching. And I have the utmost respect for him. And I do believe that the stories continue that he's used it at the regionals and also at the World Series when he was coaching college.
No kidding.
And it worked on a 3-man crew. That the guy, because they threw their bat in a certain spot, so the umpire would have to go kind of move it.
Mhm.
So he looks down.
So he's not paying attention to that.
This team practiced it, and this was in high school at the time back then. And then he went into the college side of coaching, and he used it there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So
I've seen examples of this, like where they do a bunt and the guy's and he just peels it right off,
Yeah.
Right.
and scores on a bunt. But I've never thought that it would be used on a base hit to right or center.
Yeah. The second one is the overthrow at first base when the pitcher steps off real quick and acts like he throws it over the head and takes off running, and the guy on first gets up and takes off going to second.
Toss it over to second.
And the pitcher just ends up tossing it over there and he's out. And it's like, that really just worked. Like, how
Now,
did the coach?
I was
how
going to
did
say,
the
whose
how
fault
did
is
the coach get deked on that one?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't. That didn't make any sense either.
Whose fault is that? Is that the first
That's
base
the first
coach?
base coach.
Yeah. Okay.
All him.
I would agree. Rich, would you?
I would definitely agree. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
It's
kind of ridiculous.
Well, and you know,
I understand it happens fast.
The first instinct would be for the runner to take steps, but that first base coach should be sitting there yelling, "Get back!" He didn't throw it. Get back.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he didn't have to dodge a flying projectile.
Correct.
So he should know there's no ball.
Right.
Exactly.
If we break it down, there's no ball. So
That's right.
I was gonna say, a first base coach should be pretty trained on spotting the ball.
I was gonna say, whenever I coach first base, I never watch. I watched to see where the runner was until the pitcher was ready to throw, and then I was watching the pitcher the whole time. Because you once you get that tell that he's going to first, you yell back, and then you watch the ball come in, because then it's your responsibility to turn and go, you know, if it gets by, right?
Yeah.
That's a mental lapse by the first base coach.
So there's kind of two of them there for you, Richie.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So we asked Nate a certain question, and we're gonna ask you, how did it feel once you won that gold medal, knowing that you had USA crushed your chest and they were playing the national anthem? What did that mean to you? Now, we understand that Nate, at a 14-year-old age as a player, is going to feel differently than a coach. So what did that mean to you?
It was a feeling that it chills. Actually, it brought me to tears when it all happened. It was that neat, because in that game too, there was about 40 parents that were there.
Okay.
And there was only 40 people cheering for the United States. And there was about 4 to 5 grand there. There's people down outfield fence, down the side, up on just watching us. And they were all cheering for Puerto Rico. And because they wanted the Americans to get upset. And so when that happens, I mean, the security was unbelievable. It was great. People are trying to get in our dugout. They're keeping them out of the fence. I mean, they're climbing over the fence, trying to get in, and these, police security guys are pulling stuff down. And, I gave a USA pin to one of the security guys that he escorted me up and through the crowd just to get up to my room afterwards. And I gave him a USA pin, and he wants a picture with me. He just thought it was the greatest thing. And, here I am, just a 14U national team coach, and USA just wins this and the world's for that. And, I mean, it was just, we still were smiling when we got off the plane in Miami 2 days later.
For sure. And
it's still to the day, just even when you brought that up about the feeling of winning, I mean, it still brings those chills to you like it was yesterday. And, I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable to have your country's letters across and you go win. So now, I mean, I stand at the anthem a different way. We were told a certain way. We were taught a certain way, and they teach it in the USA baseball because of all the Olympians and everything else stand a certain way. And so we do that, and I still do it today when I referee or I hear it as a coach or whatever it is. So it's a feeling that I don't think will ever lose me, but it's just so ecstatic, and just to see these kids too, as a coach, and see what they did. And this was not a team that we thought was going to win when we went down there, because they were not the talented that they had been before. So it was neat for them.
Yeah. Loyal Loungers, thank you for listening. We love you and we appreciate you. We do this for you. If you could do us a favor, leave us a review on whatever platform you grab a listen. This will let us know what you love and what might need to be retired. And always remember to sit back, relax, and grow to listen.